Okay, so hopefully everything's hopefully everything's good. Um, but yeah. So hey, my fellow Rumble maniacs. It's Mr. Rumble Rose is here, and today I'm kind of here with a bit of a different type of video. It's video game related, but it's something that I guess you could say it's kind of like a discussion video, but like like maybe like it's like a part discussion video, part rant, part ramble, just something that's been kind of on my mind as of late. So, for those that don't know, where I'm at, I'm basically in the boss room of one side boss known as Malenia, or Malenia, Goddess of Ra. So, I'm not really gonna get into like, all the big ass detail about who the fuck Malenia is, other than the fact that she is a side boss in Elden Ring that you can build to fight, pretty much whenever you want, as long as you got like the certain pieces of a medallion that would hoist them up, and be able to, um, take them pretty much like around here, I believe. And it's like, you go and it's like, you kind of go around here, to go like this little side of the map. Oh no, actually no, 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 no. Oh yes, yeah, never mind. Yeah, so I'm always kind of like used to this fucking side, but like basically what like it's the thing that you do where um you get like two pieces of a medallion. You just go like here, Grand Lift the Roll, and you go here to this place called uh, Ordina Liturgical Town. You do a little like puzzle looking thing where it's like you have to like find, I think like maybe like three flame tower things at most. Light them up, go through a portal, and then you go to the Howler Tree area. Miquella's Howler Tree, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Go through here and everything, and then get to this pretty much this little side here, and then Howler Tree roots, and of course, if you manage to beat the boss, then you'll get this grace right here. Now, the reason why this is kind of on my mind is because I'd say it's because I say besides like uh trying to think. Well, I know I used to kind of talk about fucking Dark Eater Midir from Dark Souls 3, and I even talk about with Radon as well, where it's like both those bosses need a nerf to the point where they get nuked to the fucking ground because they're the most sorry excuse for bosses I've ever seen. Come at me and stuff like that. But the one thing I always would say is, and I still stand by my belief and everything when it comes to this, but I still say to this day that Malenia needs a nerf. And I don't care. You can call, and, you can fuck off out of here with the whole like, oh, you're just bad, skillish, blah 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 blah. Like, I don't give two shits, what you want to say. But I still stand by but I still stand by it though. Okay, like in my opinion, Malenia needs a nerf. I honestly would much rather see her fucking ass get nuked to the ground to where she's not even really a threat. I honestly don't really like facing Malenia. I mean, like the one thing I say like is I don't like facing Malenia solo. Um, the only time I ever did a thing that was kind of solo was when I was randomly attempting a thing where I was using I was using a certain weapon. I think it was I was using a certain weapon, um, I can't unfortunately, show it because I have Pay, aka, my friend Pay's character sitting down, but I think it's called like the Serpent Hunter weapon, which basically, in a nutshell, is a weapon that you can be able to get when you go and fight Rykard at Volcano Manor. Because I've seen like a handful of people saying like, oh, you can actually be able to, do some really good stuff with this weapon, and fucking be able to beat this boss, this boss, that boss, the other boss, and all that. And I think I remember like one time where I was doing like a bit of a New Game Plus run, or as they call it, Journey 2, where I was playing with my character known as Tarnish Guy, formerly known as Sir Romington, where I was kind of like, just testing the waters out and everything. Um, and I did use, and even though some people might, say like, oh, you use this, that, and the other, but yes, I did use at my an Ash summon because I usually like will try and if I'm trying to do things solo like then I usually probably like have some sort of Ash summon to help me out a little bit because that's something that you can be able to do in this game you know whether or not it's like you get like the whole cool points trying to actually do things solo with no summons or like no cooperative, whatever. It's like, I don't really care. Okay, like I really don't. But I still believe and I will die on that. I will die on the fucking hill saying that Malenia needs a nerf. I think From Software really needs to fucking nerf her ass. Like, and again, you can say what you want, even because I don't really give a fuck. But again, she's one sorry excuse for a boss, just like how fucking Radon is in the DLC. Like I don't know why fucking From Software brought his ass back in the DLC. Like no one likes him. No one asked for him to come back. He's a like we beat his ass in main game. He deserved to stay dead. You know, bottom line. Like I say, he should have been dead and never came back. But the reason why I'm kind of talking about it is because I've kind of noticed something. So most of the time, I'm known to try my best to help people out in this game. Like I'm known to be a cooperator more than an invader. Like I maybe like have done invasions like a few times here and there, but like either I was doing like as far as like fucking Vare's quest line thing, so I can be able to get to Mogan Palace a little bit earlier, or like the one time where I did it because like I was kind of pissed off at the game because the game screwed me out of my runes, and I wanted to kind of take it out on someone or something. Which, long story short, for those that don't know, once upon a random time, I loaded into Elden Ring, and I loaded it into my friend Pay's build that I made of her and everything. And for some reason, I get spawned out. I get spawned like completely out of bounds, or somewhere like that just makes me pretty much just die instantly and everything. And as I go and as I go to retrieve my runes, I find them in a place that I can't be able to get because they're pretty much like suspended in the air in a place that would that is unreachable without dying. And let me just say, like I've had those unfortunate times where I've lost my runes to bullshitty tactics that this game has done because this game does have its cheating moments. I don't care what anyone says. This game sometimes will cheat you out of something. But back to Malenia though. Like the one thing that I've always noticed is the number one cause of death that a lot of people died to her from. Now, now you know so now you could probably like argue about like certain things here and there, but the one thing that I've noticed is like a lot of people die into one move in particular, and that is her Ash of War that she does with her weapon, which I believe is called the Waterfowl Dance. Now, I know there are some people out there that are very talented Elden Ring players, and I commend those people, for being able to like, put up with the fact of like, trying to learn Malenia's bitch ass moves, especially even trying to figure out a way, to like somehow counter or like counter or like dodge or whatever, her waterfowl dance. But I know a lot, but I've noticed that a lot of people, have often died to that move more so than anything else. Like, like the one other move that I often would suspect people would die to is Malenia's, phase is Malenia in phase two. Because for those that don't know what happens when you beat Malenia in phase one, she pretty much like she loses all of her clothing. Some would say she's completely naked or whatever, even though she got covered up with certain bits and pieces here and there. But basically, she sheds her armor or whatever, and then the first thing that she does is she's up in the air because she's grown wings for some fucking reason, and she does pretty much like a like a scarlet rot bloom flower thing, kind of similar to what you're seeing like right behind Pei here. It's kind of like she'll be like she'll like, go up in the air and then like a blooming flower, like a blooming flower, blooming onion, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and then like just like drop down, like drop down to whatever wherever she's targeting that, and then really then like kind of like a little explosion thing and all that, and um, and anyone who's close by will get their Scarlet Rot meter built up to the point where if you stay in it too long, you basically get hit with you basically hit with Scarlet Rot. And Scarlet Rot, in my opinion, was one of the top most annoying status elements that you can be able to get in this game. I'd say probably some people might agree with me on this that the number one annoyance of you know status elevation buildup whatever is Death Blight, because once that thing hits the other side, you're instantly dead no matter how much health you got. Like you could be fucking you know you could be like max 99 health, not have like a shred of your health gone, and all of a sudden it's like you get hit with Death Blight and then boom, it's like that. And the one thing that and the one thing I kind of feel like in my opinion is honestly Malenia needs a nerf to her waterfowl dance. Like you know I really feel like she needs a nerf to that. Like she needs a nerf. Like again I don't care what anyone said. I don't care if people say like gonna say like oh you just suck. Get good or whatever. It's like no, I don't give a shit. FromSoft needs to nuke her ass, and they need to start with the fucking waterfowl dance. Now the way that I see it is um the way that I see it, there's kind of like maybe like one or two or whatever ways that would be somewhat acceptable, right? So, in my opinion, I don't think Malenia should be allowed to do the waterfowl dance at all. Like I think that she's much better off, just not having that move present at all. Like get rid of her fucking waterfowl dance You know, whenever you fight her, and I bet you, and I bet you anything, it should be more tolerable. People can actually build, you know, to succeed more versus dying to her because of that one move. Another random idea that I kind of have is the slower waterfall dance down completely. You know, like, when, like, because often you can build a tower, like, when she's going to be doing, when she's going to be doing the move, right? Well, I think that once she tries her first little attempt of that, there needs to be a cooldown, a little bit longer of a cooldown, before she can build it again. That way people will be able to, time it, avoid it, maybe even get away from it to the point where, her efforts are futile. And I'd almost would say this kind of go into like the next part, but I would say at most that, you know, either she can only do it in phase two, or she can only do it once in phase one. And basically make it to where she's not allowed, to do it in phase two. Because like, some of her moves stuff that she does in phase two, like it's annoying as it is. From like the fucking, like little like ghosts or whatever the fuck they're, the fairy ghost things or whatever the fuck they're called. Because I don't know, what the correct term is, but the thing goes like, where she's up in the air, she's like sitting like in her like little fairy ghost minions or whatever, trying to like, hit you before, she like tries to, like thrust her sword into your ass or something like that. Like that's pretty much the thing that I will come up with as much as possible, when it comes to dealing with Malenia. Like and another thing that I would say that would be best, that would be best, to nuke her ass is she should not be allowed to get any sort of healing at all. Like, it's so fucking stupid how every time, she gets it, she lands a hit, that she will get some health back. In my opinion, and like, in my opinion, she should not be able to do that. She should not be allowed to fucking, get healed each and every single fucking time. Because if we can't build, because like, if we can't build to have that, going for us, where it's like, oh, every time when, we activate our great, activate Malenia's great run on our character, it's like, oh, we can only be able to get a certain amount of health back, but all of that, it's like, no. But it's like, oh, it's not even nearly as good as what Malenia herself does. Like, like it, like, uh, the way that I see it, it's like, in my opinion, either A, get rid of her ability to heal from every hit, and no matter what phase that she's in, or make it to where the Great Run is actually more valuable. We're actually get some some value from it. If we can build if we can build to like get successful hits off, if we have Malenia's rune equipped, and have a rune arc, popped and all that, like that would be the acceptable thing. And because like I said, like it's just there's just some things in this game that kind of just like really make me question about like why FromSoft did this, that, and the other, and like the one boss that always kind of got me you know talking more, kind of made me like just, maybe like ponders things in my mind was always Malenia. Like fucking like Radon's definitely up there, but Malenia in the end has been like the one boss on my mind, you know. But yeah, like I said, that's pretty much my my 2 cents in a nutshell. Like I said, I thought about like maybe doing this as like a video instead of like doing some sort of random live stream or whatever, because I'm gonna be trying to do a stream tomorrow and everything like that. And I was just like, well, I'll just like, sit down, maybe like do a little recording thing, probably like edit it afterwards and all that stuff. But yeah, again, in my opinion, like I said, to close things off, I believe in my heart of hearts that Malenia needs a nerf. I don't care if she's a fucking side boss or whatever. She needs a nerf. She needs to be nuked. I'll honestly say fucking delete her from the game because no one cares about her ass. Or do some of the changes that I kind of brought up. Because like I said, the one thing I've always noticed is that that a lot of people always die to the waterfowl dance, and that move is just so fucking stupid. Not to mention the ability, for her to heal within each, successful hit that she gets. Like she should not be allowed to do that. I don't care what anyone says. If we can't have regaining the ability to bring our health as good as she can, then honestly she shouldn't either. Like fucking nuke her ass, get rid of the waterfall dance, get rid of her ability, to fucking heal after each successful hit that she gets, no matter if it's on you know the main host or the Ash summons or other players or whatever. It needs to be done. I don't care. And you can disagree. People, y'all can disagree with me all you want, but it's the truth, honestly. Like that's the truth, and that's the whole truth, and nothing but the fucking truth. But that's all I got to really say about this, but because otherwise then I'm probably gonna be just like, repeating my words or whatever. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this little random little video discussion, rant, ramble, whatever. But feel free, to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitch because I always, stream live over there a lot. And hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video or live stream. So until then, take care everybody, and hope you all have a good week or weekend.